Good evening, everybody. My name is Gregory Bloomfield. You've joined episode 44 of the Motivation Moment podcast. Once again, my name is Gregory Bloomfield. I hope that you had an amazing weekend. I know that I did. And I'm still smiling. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel, the YouTube channel. Greet all the folks on YouTube right now. Please let me know where you're watching this from. We got people from the United States, from Canada, from South Africa, from South America, all over the world are watching. England. Some may not watch live, but they definitely watch in the archive. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And for my Facebook friends, thank you for tuning in as well. And for all my people on LinkedIn, thank you for tuning in as well. Please share the love, share the information, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on LinkedIn or follow me on Facebook as well. So let's get right into it. I just want to say thank you so much for everybody who viewed on YouTube. I want to let you know that at the beginning of this week, we hit over 1,000 views. So thank you so much for sharing, liking, subscribing, and most importantly, watching. And if you want to see some of the previous episodes, please feel free to go to the channel and look at the archive broadcasts, even the ones on my Instagram page. Amen. So please take a look at that. Good evening, Regina. We got Regina all the way from Florida in the house. And we also have, and good evening, Patsy McGlash, and that's my mother. So my mom tunes in. Thank you, Mom, for watching. She's proud of her little bald head, little boy, you know. So, and also I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Rosalind, for tuning in. We grew exponentially on Facebook. We added, from my last week's episode, we added 20 new followers. So we're growing. We want to get followers on both YouTube and Facebook up to 75. So if we can get a few more followers on both platforms and even on LinkedIn, that would be amazing. I want to also let you know, before I introduce our guests, that this month's theme is The Harvest is Ready. The harvest is ready. So I want you to think about this fall season and all the labor that you've put into what you wanted to accomplish. And also that we're going to share stories. The harvest is plenty. Thank you. We are going to focus on stories of individuals who took a risk in a business or a ministry, and they're now reaping the harvest. How many here know that you need to put a seed in the ground to make a harvest? So these people drop seeds in faith, and now they're successful. And I want you to really take notes and tune in. And as you know, I am living near the great city of Boston. I'm usually in a tie or something preppy, but not today. I'm in a sweatshirt. I'm wearing this because I'm representing my city today, Boston. So listen, I am interviewing somebody who has the heart and the pulse of Boston, Massachusetts. For all of you from Boston or live in Boston, please let it be known in the chat. Type Boston in the chat. Even if you're not from Boston, if you're affiliated with someone in Boston, type it in the chat as well. So I want to introduce to you none other than my friend Danielle Johnson. Now, I've known Danielle as a kid. I'm actually really good friends, or I've known for many years, her father, Eric Johnson. Some of you know him affectionately as Uncle Eric. And Danielle is an amazing young woman. She's known in Boston, and she'll get into why, as Miss Hot Sauce, as she encompasses the essence of her stage name, combining her fun-loving appeal and fiery sense of humor to any stage. Her room or airwaves. She was born in Massachusetts. Hot Sauce, or Danielle. She's a mother. She's a radio personality, a speaker, an MC, and a creator. Now, you probably not have ever heard of her if you don't live in Boston, but I want to tell you something about her. In the year 2020, Danielle launched The first, for all you female entrepreneurs, you need to listen to this. The very first, good evening, Ade, the very first Black female owned digital radio station. Amen. She is a pioneer in radio that you may not have ever heard of, but you're going to hear about her today. She's the first Black female. She's the first Black female who owns a digital radio station, and it's called Spark FM. And she has been featured in Boston Magazine as one of Boston's 150 most influential people 2 years in a row, 2022 and 2023. So this woman, Miss Hot Sauce, is a power and a force that you're gonna learn more about today. And hopefully she will inspire you. For those of you who are creatives, those of you who want to get into the radio game, those of you who have your own business on the side, or you're taking a risk and starting full time with your business, this is the woman you want to talk to. All right. Spark FM is the national digital radio station amplifying the voice of urban communities and particularly Caribbean communities. So she has a little reggae, she has a little hip hop, and she even has a little gospel as well. Digital radio station, wherever you are on the planet, you can get access to Spark FM, and that's very wise in this in this world that we live in. Not no more just terrestrial radio, but internet radio. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you my friend, Boston's own, because I want to bring local people on there so they get a global opportunity. Danielle Johnson, aka Miss Hot Sauce. Hi, how you doing?
The crowd to go
How you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
good. How are you? How are you?
I'm
Happy
good.
Sunday.
I'm good. Happy Sunday. Yeah, well, I figured that it's time that we represent Boston on this show.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man, that's why I wore my Celtics sweater.
Good choice. Good choice.
I'm not wearing a tie today. I'm wearing my sweats today. So but yeah, welcome to the program. This is your first time on here, and as I said before, I've known your mom and dad for many years. We actually served together as elders at Waymark Church. Shout out to Waymark. And yeah, let's get to know you. Now I just gave your introduction. I just gave your bio. Mm-hmm. You talk about Miss Hot Sauce. Who's Miss Hot Sauce? And how did you come up with that name?
So let's go backwards. I got that name. I went to Andrews University. So if you are Adventists out there, I went to one of the most prestigious universities out there for Adventist people, top 10 in the world for diversity. So I went to Andrews, and I used to help out the basketball team a lot, managing and scoreboarding, traveling and things with them. And one day I had on a red sweatsuit, and the coach, who was a guy from the VI, said, "Hey, you look like a bottle of hot sauce." And he just started calling me Hot Sauce after that. It stuck. The rest of the campus stuck with it. And then when it was time for me to start radio or get into entertainment in the way that I wanted to get into it, I just kind of kept it because it kind of was fitting for me. So I kept it. And then who am I? So I am a daughter of a Trinidadian and a Honduran mother. I born and raised in Boston. Went to school in the suburbs, went to Andrews for college, and then just being a product of Boston and Caribbean culture and heritage. And being from a family full of entertainers. My dad's a DJ. My uncle used to be on radio, the only Caribbean radio show in Boston, Jam and Joe Johnson. So from there, I just kind of fell into place, not even knowing that's where I was supposed to be. When I started out college, I went to school to be a nurse, and that just wasn't my ministry. I wasn't good at that. And then after leaving nursing school from the help of a guidance counselor, I went into communications, and communications actually just changed the whole trajectory of my life and put me in different situations that made me want to entertain and constantly talk to people. So that is pretty much the all in a bottle encapsulate of who I am. I'm a
All right.
mom, I'm a creator, entrepreneur, a visionary, pretty much everything you read in the bio.
All right. Yes. So Miss Hot Sauce is very much, a lively person, someone who loves communicating, someone who loves to, make people happy, make people laugh, and also, spread love to everyone she can. And she mentioned that she's half Trinidadian, half Honduran. So we want to say shout out to all the Trinidadians who are watching, and also the Hondurans. Shout out to Honduras. And that is what makes Danielle who she is. She's and again, I've said I've known her parents and all of that. So yeah, and I didn't recall that you studied to be a nurse
Yeah.
initially.
My
Uh-huh.
whole life, I wanted to be a nurse. From the time I was like 3, I was adamant that I was going to become a nurse and took that dream all the way to college. And there is where it got pivoted to something
Mhm.
else.
So let's talk about that. So you talked about your mentors wanted you to go into communications, but you have this nursing degree, which was this nursing is a safe job in America. There's a demand for nurses, but your passion was in communications and eventually in radio. Talk to me about how you, because we're talking about putting in seeds in the ground and harvesting, right? So talk to me about what that risk looked like. Were you scared, or did your passion kind of drive your adrenaline to do this? Because there's some people who are doing, their safe job
Mhm.
and their passion on the side, but it seems like you took your passion and ran with it. So let's talk to me about that.
So, I think that sometimes the world, the universe, God, whoever people believe in, leads you in a path where sometimes you didn't think you were supposed to go. I know that I wasn't supposed to be a nurse because if I couldn't keep people alive in nursing school, then maybe
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna do so well out in the world. So it's one of those things where it wasn't an act of me letting go of something else to do something. It was just like that wasn't what I was supposed to do. And I found that out earlier on in life, thank goodness, because I was able to at least figure out what I wanted to do. So when I got to communications, I still had no idea that radio would be an option. I was
Right.
never one of those people who's like, I want to be a radio host. And that came a lot later on in life.
Mhm.
But I started when I graduated, I went and I got a nice, safe administrative assistant job working for a big healthcare system. So I was pretty, great there. But I hated it. So while I was there, I found a passion in blogging and entertainment and commentating and giving my opinion on everybody's life in the pop culture wise. And then what else was not my ministry? Writing also was not my ministry. So blogging just didn't turn into anything. And even though my blog was doing great, I was getting tens and thousands of views a day. What I wasn't good at was grammar and spelling, and then AI wasn't there at that
Mm.
point.
Mm.
All the things that are up there now, Grammarly and things weren't there. And then someone else suggested, a friend of mine's was like, "Why don't you try radio?" And I was like, "Huh,
Oh,
radio, you say?" Okay, let's get into that. So it was never even like, to be honest, it was never even a big leap. It was just things that I just kept on creeping into. And I think that that was just the way that my life was destined to go, the path it was destined to go down.
yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That God has a plan for your life. That you.
Just
What's the expression, Danielle? If you want God to laugh at you, tell him your
tell
plans.
him he has your plans. Yep. It's
Yeah,
true though, if you think about it,
it
like, this is
really
what I
is.
want to do, and this is how I want it to go. And
Yeah,
God being like, no, we're gonna go up. here and take a turn down here.
Well, sometimes God just laughs. He goes, "You silly, yeah, right." And then it's like you end up doing something like, for example, this whole podcast. Like I was supposed to be. A lot of people don't know this, but I was when after I graduated from Bentley with my master's, I was supposed to become a tax attorney. That
Oh,
was the original goal, was to be a tax attorney. Um, my I got my master's, and then we had our first child, and then that plan just got switched. And then having going into writing myself and going into podcasting now. Yeah, when we interacted about a year and a half ago, this was not even in the plan. So when I
yeah.
called you up and said, "You want to be on my show?" Huh? Show? What?
What you got there?
What are you talking about? You know what I mean?
When you
So
get a show.
some people are out there that's like, you're playing. You started to be a lawyer. You started to go into, business for working for somebody, but
Mhm.
then you end up having the itch to do something for yourself or something that definitely is not in the plan. So I completely understand that. What would you say? And again, like, share, and subscribe, everybody. What are some of the setbacks that you encountered when you were going through um, this journey, like in radio? What were some of the hardest things that you went through, like especially as a black female? Doors being shut, people saying, "Ha, you too young." What basically is?
So, hardest setbacks were the usuals, actually. They were capital in order to get this business off the ground. And when I say I'm a visionary, like I can see the bigger picture all the time. Like I can always see how it's supposed to look when it's finished. I never see the road that leads up to it, which is, I feel, has been my greatest setback because I put these big goals in my head, but I don't kind of break them up so that I can get there. So I'm always surprised in the journey. There's not a part of this journey that I haven't been surprised, whether it was a good surprise or a
Mhm.
bad surprise. Every time I'm like, oh, that happens. So for me, it was completely a learning curve from the beginning because I was used to just going to a radio station at the time that I was supposed to be on air and I was going to do my show. And when I got off the radio station, I would go about my business and not think about it again. But
Mm,
this time, not only was I on air, doing my show and causing awareness for my own personal brand, but now I actually had to brand a radio station. I was now managing a lot of people with a lot of different personalities. I was trying to figure out the systems and policies and procedures of how I wanted this radio station to work. I was also working on scheduling and programming and making sure that I was also selling advertisements and many other things at the same time.
mm,
The fact that I was a female almost worked in my favor a little bit because
mhm,
I'm such an anomaly. It was like, oh, that's not too much competition. So maybe I wasn't even necessarily taken serious enough. And because I wasn't really paid attention to what I was doing. So I had a lot of time to build and grow. So a lot of the setbacks that I happened were either personal because also because I am a woman, when you're dealing with men,
mm.
there's a different type of language that is used. Sometimes there is either overly aggressive, like not aggressive enough, like
Passive,
I'm a
yeah.
baby. Like there's a lot of different things that I guess you would call them microaggressions instead of real big, issues, because
Mhm,
it just seemed that people wanted to either super help me or let me learn on my own. And a lot of these things I did end up learning on my own or really relying on the experience that I had before. So everything that I'm doing, I almost have already seen before working the capacity of radio that I was doing. It was just different this time because I had to do it all by myself. I had to figure all of the little pieces together by myself. Capital was another big problem because after our first crowdfunding run, when we launched, we aimed to reach $17,000. By the end of our crowdfunding campaign, I think we hit about almost 26,000.
Okay.
So that was good, but I have never in my life seen money go that quickly. It was like one day, it was magic.
I have to laugh because when you're in the entrepreneurial space, a lot of people who don't understand, they say, well, he has his own business or he's incorporated, so he must be rich. Let me tell you something. For all you in the audience, listen very carefully. You don't know struggle until the beginning phases of your business. Look, if you get money all quick and fast in the initial stages, 9 times out of 10, I got to ask you what your business model is and if it's legit. Because it's some Ponzi scheme or something like that. But when you're doing legit business, you really got to do it's a slow grind. That's what I always used to say initially. And really, and maybe you can attest to this, because you don't see the harvest right away, it really tests whether or not you're truly passionate about doing it.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I agree to that a lot because these little struggles that you do go through on this journey, because again, when you first start or when you tell people that you own a business, it's like, oh, you your own boss, you make your own money, you can do and say what you want, when you work what you want. And it's such the opposite. It's such not a glamorous life, especially in the beginning when you're building. Because your eyes, there's another saying, like your eyes are bigger than your stomach or something like that. When you're starving, you go to the grocery store and you just want to buy everything. And that's what it's like, because again, if you're a visionary, if you're someone that can see, A to Z, and where you want this business to go, oftentimes, like, it gets very, like, you want so many things, but you have to raise anything that you make goes right back in the business. Anything, like if something is broken or if something, is not working right, you have to figure it out. So those 9 to 5s or those, flexible hours, sometimes they flex a little bit, past midnight into the early mornings of the hour, or you're up early, stressing or having anxiety about something else. So it's one of those things where I feel like when you are passionate about something, it will lead you. But there are, like, you're just not passionate about the bumps along the road. Like, they hurt.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Well,
Yes.
who you telling? When you have them days where it's like, all right, do I put this money into my business because I'm passionate, or do I pay my light bill?
Okay.
Right? Do I go pay my light bill late because I'm passionate, or do I talk to my landlord and say, listen, I'm going to be a few days late on the rent because you got to buy inventory, or you got to pay a supplier, or that check that you hope to get from the advertiser that was promised
Yes.
on the 13th.
It's not coming till
it ain't coming to the 27th. You know what I mean? And there's nothing you can do about it. So for those who are entrepreneurs, and I had a bunch of questions that I had for you, but I'm changing this up on the fly. I want to ask some of our audience, if you have a question for Danielle, Miss Hot Sauce, type it in the chat and we're going to try and build it up. I hope you don't mind, Danielle, because there's some female entrepreneurs that have questions on how you did. Because remember, you are talking about the struggles, but now you have the legacy of being the first Black female digital radio station and being the founder of Spark FM. While the questions come in, maybe talk a little bit about that and what makes Spark FM, which is a Boston company, praise the Lord, is what makes it so special, so unique, and how can people tune in to your radio station?
Yeah. So what makes Spark so unique? Or what was the first? There was a first part of that you said.
Yeah, like what made the radio station so unique, and also when was I even forgot what I said. What was what was the let's ask it like this.
Yeah.
What was the ultimate aha moment where it's like, okay, the fruits of my labor, the sleepless nights, all those things, it actually came to fruition. So let's talk
Uh,
about that.
it it's some of the little things too. I remember when I got the keys to the studio that we're at on March 17th, and the world shut down. I think it was March 20th or the
Right before COVID.
right before COVID.
Jeez.
So I was excited. Like one day I posted like just got the keys to the studio, and the next post was so they shut down the world. Like okay. All right, so here we go. The light bulb went off when we were able to when stores started to open up and we were able to start getting things done in the studio and building it.
Mhm.
um and the vision that we had on paper started to come alive in 3D, so we would be able to go into the studio and see them, putting in the windows or painting the walls and things like that. And then when we put our first piece of equipment in it with a little radio desk and some DJ and stuff, and we went live for the first time, I realized that what we had set out to do was now actually happening. There's actual streaming coming out of this radio station.
Nice.
And everything that I had promised that I would do in that crowdfunding campaign was now coming to life. So, that was the question about being the first Black woman. I felt like that pressure was a lot. Um, Hearing something like being the first was also very imposter syndrome started to creep in pretty quickly.
Mm,
It was like, okay, I'm the first, now I'm in history. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to live up to this? Then newspaper articles and features started coming in. The news was reaching out. There was magazines. There was a lot of things. Black Enterprise, We Buy Black, like really large publications was reaching out to do features and stories, or they were just popping up based on the features and stories that were out before. And
mm,
that was very scary because I felt like everybody was watching me. Like for some reason, I felt like literally like I was naked and everybody was watching me, and I just couldn't escape that. So those
mm,
first few weeks, I cried a lot. I cried a
mm,
lot because I was not only excited, but I was very, very scared of living up to what that Z vision was, what I was looking to do. Because now that I'm seeing the studio start to be built, and now I'm starting to see things in there, and like we're getting drops and all these things are coming together, it was real at that point because now Spark FM was something that people contributed to. People
mm,
said that they wanted to see. People were trusting me with their money to help build it. And I wanted to give them what they asked for. So I wanted it to be beautiful. I
mhm,
wanted it to have good quality sound. I wanted it to have good programming. I wanted there to be good people. And I can honestly say that those are the things that Spark has done. Like it's a collaborative effort between the talent in this city who want to do media and broadcasting to come together and bring this brand to fruition, making
mm,
sure that it popped out. And then as we started to win grants or get advertisers, we were able to now not use my money, but contribute the money that the station was getting into back into it. So it what makes Spark so special is that Spark does what the name calls it to do. and
Mhm.
that's igniting things, and that is, starting a flame, that is, sparking up conversation. It is making people look around and wonder where it came from, what are we supposed to do with it, how do we listen, how do we support it. Go right to sparkfmonline.com, or you can
Mhm.
download our app on either the App Store or the Android market. And tune in radio, all the streaming apps, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, I mean, X. Uh,
Yeah, it's a back in the day they say you would send a tweet. So
a
now that
tweet.
it's X, you send an exit. I don't
What is
understand.
it? What do you
What do you
call
do?
it
You
now?
send an exit. Yeah,
I think somehow we still are sending a tweet. It's just not a tweeter anymore, which
yeah,
is also very bizarre to me.
yeah. Pray for Elon Musk. He messed
Pray
up
for
that
him.
company.
Pray.
Pray for him big time. But yeah, I mean that's wonderful. I think as well, Danielle,
Mm.
having seen the student, because I've seen the growth, I've seen the crowdfundings, I've seen all the different things. It must be also an incredible feeling to see the fruit of your labor. But I can also understand the imposter syndrome, someone who has struggled with it myself,
Yeah.
that it's almost like you feel, and this is in the mind of an entrepreneur, it's like, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
And it's like, the party's going to crash at some point.
Yes. When is the shoe gonna drop?
Yeah. When am I going to mess this whole thing up? When am I going to be on, pocket watchers, or when am I going to be in a scandal or something like that? And
ABC investigates. Yeah.
yeah, how do you battle that imposter syndrome? Because any entrepreneur that's serious, I believe, deals with those thoughts sometimes.
Mhm.
I know I do. So I just pray you get the wrong guest on here, and then it's like Gregory's implicated in some scheme.
Mhm.
So you're just scared. So how do you, what are your techniques in dealing with that? Speaking to all the entrepreneurs, particularly Black female entrepreneurs.
You know what? I think it's something that you almost can't run away from. I feel like it will creep up. I think what works for me is having the receipts. You know what the young people say, like, I got the receipts. Um, I can always go back
Put that in. Put that in the chat.
to
Put that in the Chiron. Says the way to battle doubt is show your receipts.
have your yeah, show
Have
your
your
receipts.
receipts. Yeah.
And that's such a true saying, because when you have your receipts, you know that, I mean, you did pay for this, whatever it is. Like, you have the receipt to show that you gave this service, you participated in this situation, you gave a product, or you have a product, but you paid something to get something. So that's something that I like, because mentally, I honestly can tell you that I do not know how to battle imposter syndrome, because I deal with it so much. Especially, you mentioned something just now, like when you're worrying about when are you going to mess this up. Like, I feel like I'm right now going through a period where I feel like I have messed it up. If I were to tell you guys, like, the how I feel immediately right now, like, I know that I have made some risk in this business that should or can even still tank me. But for some reason, when you are doing your path, and this is supposed to go, it still doesn't stop you. It may cripple you, and
Mhm.
it may slow you down. It might have you doubting yourself continuously. Like, for 2 weeks
Mm.
after my last situation, I did not sleep. I beat myself up. I beat myself up so bad mentally about all the mistakes that I made and all of the things that I should have done instead. And there came a point, and I think somebody said to me, "Well, what you gonna do about it now?" And I said, "Oh, you can't." It was like, you can't go back. You can't change anything. It is what it is. What are you gonna do now? And when you're battling imposter syndrome, you almost have to. You're gonna let it defeat you, or you're gonna try to own up to what you think that you're being an imposter to. So I know that in order to battle mine, I have to own up to who I think I'm not supposed to be. I've got to meet myself. I've got to meet the self that everybody's praising where it is, because that doesn't make any sense for me to separate myself and who I am from what I'm doing. I'm doing it. So that's a battle that I have to deal with constantly. But I think that if you just really have to, either you're gonna sit down or you're gonna meet yourself where you're at, because there's no other way to do this.
You know what the funny thing is, though, Danielle, is that when talking about imposter syndrome with entrepreneurship, and this goes for anybody who's listening who's an entrepreneur, I find, and I actually wrote about this in a book, Breaking the Silence. Shout out to Dr. Parlett Harper. One of the things that I say, and I want to share with people, is this: is that imposter syndrome can actually be your friend. And I'll say it like this. Number one, you don't take things for granted. When you have successes, you actually are grateful for the success, right? Because it could change at any moment. The second thing is that I find with my own imposter syndrome, it forces me to work harder.
Yeah.
It forces me to outwork people, because by outworking, it neutralizes or it counters the thought that I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
Because I see that, like you just said, I got the receipts. I have the hours, you put in the hours, you put in the work. If you know that you skated and did all kind of shady business to get to the top, imposter syndrome would be kicking my behind. But if I know that I worked hard, and with God's help, I got to the place, and the fact as well, hey, if you do it the slow and steady method rather than be on steroids and get to the top, or at least it mitigates the imposter syndrome, and then you can say, I belong here. I belong in this place. So regardless if you are a Black male or a Black female or any type of minority or have a disability, if you put in the work, even though it may take a longer time than other people, you know that you deserve a seat at the table. And it's not just being the first Black female in the digital radio space, but it's also being the best in the space, regardless of what your race is. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So we have Danielle Johnson here, Miss Hot Sauce, here on the program. Please like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you have a question for Danielle, please type it in the chat and we'll try and address it. We have about 15 minutes left. But I want to ask you a question in regards to the seeds that you're planting. Obviously, you've reaped the harvest, but most entrepreneurs don't stop there. They're always planting something, right? What is the future of Spark FM for you? What are some of the seeds you're planting now? Are you looking to just be based in Boston? Are you looking to expand to other places? Or you want to just be a really good local brand with a digital footprint? What are you looking to do?
I am, so two things. We are in the process of relocating the radio station right now to our flagship location in Boston. We were able to find a space that we think is going to be monumental for what it means for Spark FM. So we were in Hyde Park, and now we're moving to Blue Hill Ave, which is pretty much, one of the longest streets in Boston that stretches from the rooter to the tutor. From
From
here to there,
Mattapan to the heart of Boston.
to
That's
the
for
heart of
those who are not in Boston. Blue Hill Ave is like, if you want to know Boston, if you want the best soul food restaurants, all the churches, all the West Indian food shops, all that type of stuff is in that strip, Blue Hill Avenue. If you know Boston, you know Blue Hill Ave. But continue. Oh, that's yeah. Again. All
Sorry, I warned about that in a little
right.
interruption.
Yeah. Tell them I said hi. But yeah. So you're looking to expand to a new location in Boston.
In Boston. And then we are also looking to expand to my light keeps on. We're looking to expand to other major minority metros. So right now, even though Spark FM is locally based, we are globally listened to. Because that's what comes with being a digital radio station, is that we are able to be heard anywhere that there is internet. So we do have a lot of DJs and programmers that are in the Atlanta area. So as for an American, like kind a national expansion, we are looking to plant a studio in Atlanta that also is a place where our Atlanta-based broadcasters and media personalities can go to that studio, and we can keep the brand still strong no matter where anybody is, because we do have maybe about 6 remote broadcasters right now. 4 of them are in Atlanta, so we were like, we need them to pretty much have the same thing that we have here. And we know that Atlanta could do with, a good strong urban and Caribbean station that caters to both worlds equally, has great programming, branding, and presence. So we thought that that would be a really great place to kind of branch off and see how it does, and
Mhm.
eventually start to, expand even further. North Carolina is one of those other places that we are interested or looking at as well. So really trying to figure out where these places are that have a good mix of people that are pretty much mixed in culture, who love a little reggae and could do a little, trap music right next to
Mhm.
it, followed by a little gospel hour so it makes them feel good. So, we want to make sure that we're diversifying that content so that it really hits different people for longer periods of time.
All right. So Atlanta, get ready. So Boston and Atlanta collaborations. I like the sound of that. Yeah, and as a Jamaican, I love the a little bit of reggae, and the best thing is gospel reggae. Mhm.
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 Gospel reggae is great. That makes you want to dance and praise the Lord. It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's like "Bibbidi-bop, Jesus. No, so, but I don't
Glory.
understand the Kirk Franklin got us all messed up with the booyaka booyaka.
I know.
Does he even know what booyaka? Anyway,
I don't think so. It's
Kirk
a very
Franklin does
catchy
not.
phrase,
Yeah, I
it's
know booyaka.
provocative,
That
so I'll use it.
for those who don't know, that's gunshots. You don't shoot guns for Jesus. Who you shooting them to? The devil? Anyway, question: how from Dear Like After? That's Ross and Long. How is radio coming working for you? Do you do radio full time? I guess how's it working out for you
Yeah.
doing it full time? Yeah, that's
So yeah, I do this full time. I do need to get a job. Um like there is those times in your entrepreneurship journey where even if you're doing this full time, you still yearn the comfort and the consistency of having a steady paycheck all the time. So as I'm going through a little winter rut, I'm like, I wish I could just go to work and get a check real quick so I can do something. But like I've done odd jobs every now and then. Like every now and then I would get a little part-time gig or do some contracting work to make some extra money if I needed to. And then another thing about being an entrepreneur is that when you are working for yourself, you actually are doing the most set of work, because of the fact that if you don't do any, there's nobody else that's going to come over there and give you money for work that you didn't do. So you need to earn every single penny. There's no paid time off. There's no flex spend. There's no medical. You got to stay healthy and do your self-care so you don't end up in the hospital with no insurance. But like in the meantime, this is full time. I run it 24/7. I'm not on the radio. I'm only on the radio in the mornings from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday. So it's a 2-hour break that I get to be creative and entertaining. And then as soon as I get off the radio, it is meetings after meetings after meetings.
Mm. The entrepreneurial life for those who are starting off. I want to be realistic before I get to Regina's question. Listen, some of you may have dreams and aspirations. I've always said this. My aspirations can never trump my obligations. So,
Mhm.
me for myself, I do have entrepreneurial stuff as well, but I also have a full-time job so
Yeah.
that I can take care of my biggest priority is my kids.
Yeah.
So I and obviously I give child support to their mother. So it's really important that I have a steady income so I can take care of my children. I cannot not take care of my kids to chase my passions. I think that's irresponsible, right?
Mhm.
So I say that to agree with Danielle is that you may have an entrepreneurial dream. Start off slow. Don't quit your job and say, I have a vision to do. Man,
You are not Martin Luther King.
you're
Relax.
not worth I have a dream. Yeah, you need to pay your light bill. Your kids need to
Exactly.
go to college. Hey, if your entrepreneurial dream can facilitate and make that income that you can live off of and live comfortably and take care of your responsibilities, God bless you. But where many people make the mistake, and I'm glad you're saying this, Danielle, many people um, are not able to pay their bills initially when they first do their job. In fact, they're taking losses. Why not scale it to a smaller scale and be able to pay your bills through your full-time job and use your full-time job as capital for your passion? That's what I would consider. That may sound very conservative, but there's nothing sexy about not having groceries and your kids are lacking, but you have a dream.
Mhm.
You can't do that. Let's put Regina's question back up with the few minutes we have left. So, are you mentoring women in relation to digital platforms?
Yes, I mentor women all the time. I have an intern now from Emmanuel College that comes in and helps us do work. A lot of the personalities that are on the radio station now are younger women who are trying to get into the broadcasting field. So they are at the station learning the ins and outs of broadcast radio. And then I often go in and talk to different schools about entrepreneurship or women in business or certain things like that. So I'm always trying to remain um and I don't want to even say this so crazy, accessible in a way that people that actually need me or people that, have good questions can find me. Not accessible enough that I don't have boundaries and I don't know when people are using, me for certain situations. But when it comes to the younger generation and people and kids and young ladies that are paying attention or at least just seeing and watching the next moves that I'm going to make, I always try to make as much time as I can for them because it's like I wish that when I was growing up in this field that I had certain people to look up to and ask questions to and bounce ideas off of. So I do try to make it as accessible as I can to younger people who are into mentorship or looking for it.
Amen. That's cool. Let's Rosalind has another question. Well, I'll take this question and one more, and then we'll close out for the evening. And if you have questions, please keep them in the chat. And what we can do is I'll send them over to Danielle, and she can answer them directly. So please post your questions. We may not be able to answer them right on the air, but we will give you an answer as soon as we possibly can. Well, that's on YouTube, Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So are you looking for other radio personalities? I think she's asking for a friend.
So that's always a tricky question because usually the times that we have available are very late at night into the midnight hours. So it really depends on who and what. you are trying to do on the radio. And then there's often times where, you know, a show might end or people's obligations, because we're in 2023, everybody's busy. You know, someone can't continue or make the commitment to their radio show. So we put out, like, you know, a social media post that we're looking for this amount of hours. So I would say anybody who is interested in looking should contact me, email, just so I can have it. And then when things come up, I make sure to send them out so that people know when we are looking. But right now, there's about 27 live broadcasts a week on the radio, ranging from, again, 9 o'clock in the morning that go all the way till about midnight. And that's anytime from drive time, or Mondays, or, you know, random time. So if anybody is interested, please, you know, contact me.
And how can they contact you? Via email?
It's you could go to the website sparkfmonline.com, and that contact form on the website goes straight to an inbox that also goes to me. And then my personal Instagrams are anything, or I am Miss Hot Sauce. So the best way you can remember is just, if you like hot sauce, you are hot sauce too. I am Miss Hot
Is
Sauce.
that hot sauce with a S or with a Z?
With the S.
With an S? Okay.
Yep. MS
So
Hot Sauce.
Scotch bonnet, hot pepper, ghost pepper, whatever your hot sauce is,
Exactly.
it's
And
Miss
I'm
Hot.
glad you put it that way, because people is like, oh, what kind of hot sauce are you? Your favorite. Whatever it is, that's the one.
Right there. Right there. Amen. So, Danielle, one final question for you. So, you have achieved amazing success as being the first, and please clap it up for her. First Black female digital radio station, right? In a new realm, in a new way of doing broadcasting. Like I said, it's not terrestrial radio, it's digital radio. What do you want your legacy to be? What would you want your legacy to be at this day and time? Let's say you could write not your epitaph or whatever your edict is. You're not dying, but I'm saying that, like,
Eulogy.
no. Hold on. I have to think about this. What do you want people to remember Danielle Johnson to be?
That I loved my community, and I loved people to be happy. And I know that sounds very cliche, but I was listening to somebody talk on another panel the other day. And I was feeling this way. I wrote it in my journal. And then when that person vocalized it, I was like, ooh, okay, I see you. I want to go down in history as somebody that people remember because I did good things, and I took risk, and I stuck my head out for things that I believed in and things that I were convicted to. And I want to be known as someone who is looked at in the community as somebody who had a pure heart and always just wanted this Boston to win. Like, I'm a Boston girl at heart. Boston gets on my nerves, and oftentimes I threaten to leave it and go somewhere else. But I was born and raised here. I'm a Boston girl. I love everything that has to do with, I feel like if you can make it here in Boston, you can make it anywhere.
Yes.
And being such a tough little city, I just feel like when you can do good things and you can magnify your brand and your name outside, that even people outside of Boston can hear it, I think that you've done a good job. And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody at all. Some people don't want all of that. But I feel like if I'm going to be doing the most blood, sweat, and tears, then I want to make sure that my reputation and the legacy that I'm setting forward is something that can be admired and something that people talk about for a long time, of the great things that I was able to do with having a vision and being passionate and, you know, allowing my harvest to grow.
Mhm. And you're definitely on your way, man. I can honestly say, remembering you at Waymark and, well, at the time, Roxbury Mission,
Mhm.
and your dad and your mom being so proud of you and all the things that you've accomplished graduating college, even starting as a nurse and switching careers and living in their legacy as well as a DJ and getting into the radio and taking it to the next level, to the digital space, and being like, having this footprint in Boston. For those of you who aren't in Boston, or let me say it, for those of you who are in Boston, you know about Spark FM. I've shared this broadcast with other people, and they're like, "Word, Danielle's on there. Hot sauce, you got her. Yo, I'm tuning in." So Boston is well represented with you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm happy that you're on the show. And Atlanta, she's
coming, Atlanta.
She's coming to Atlanta as well, so you'll be proud of her as well. So Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show today. We gave great information. If you in the chat enjoyed the information that Danielle gave, please let us know in the chat. And I'd like you also to support our other shows that are on the Lonnie B Network. So we're going to show some of those programs right now. We got even a new one that's coming up. So Morning Bible Study with Manny Cush, that's my producer's chocolate husband, as she always says, every third Friday at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time or 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have The Repairers. He has another show, The Chocolate Brother, every second and fourth Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We also have Miss Roslyn with Dear Life After. Her show's on Saturdays, November 18th at 11 a.m. That's Central Standard Time. And her guest this coming Saturday is Nakedra Rogers. And also on our newest, we got new shows on the broadcast that's coming December 17th, which is my birthday. The Love and Order podcast with Donald and Marla Morton. This is about relationships between husbands and wives and dating and stuff like that. So it's really giving a real good voice to the men and to the women. So I'm excited that they're joining the Lonnie B network of programming. And we have another show that's coming up. This one, Blue Ministries, Believers Loving Upon Everyone. This is Mondays, Tuesdays, the second and fourth Mondays at 7 a.m. So the network is growing with Renona Johnson. We're looking forward to that, and that's going to start November the 26th. So this network is growing, and I'm very proud to being a part of this network. And also, if you see the beautiful flyers that you see, that's done by Dr. Alonda Kusumo, Lonnie B Creative Designs. Get your flyers, digital flyers, get your graphic designs, your logo designs, your web designs. You want to get with her. She does incredible work and she does amazing things, and she's helped my brand grow, definitely. So please see the phone number there, their emails. And also next week we're going to have another wonderful guest, Pastor Maurice Ball, as we continue the conversation of The Harvest is Ready. Hey, if you want to give a contribution to supporting this show, you can always do so by going to my Cash App, which is Bloom. Yeah,
I hear you.
Viewers love Cash App. Bloomfield. As a West Indian, you'll appreciate it. Bloomfield Ting. Bloomfield Ting. So yeah, that's my Cash App. I don't give an amount. You can give whatever you want, 5, 10, 15, 20, 1,000, 2, whatever you want to give. That helps support the cost of this broadcast, because as entrepreneurs and creatives, we got costs. But yes, if this blessed you tonight, share it with a friend. And I know that you've blessed a lot of people. And if you want to hear more from Miss Danielle Johnson, I know I'm going to have her back, because I'm thinking about having an entrepreneurship panel coming in, thinking about it in the new year. So I got your number, Danielle.
All right.
We got you.
I'm down. Thank you, Gregory, so much for the invitation. Love seeing what you do. Congratulations on all the success of the books and the podcast and everything. So keep on inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You do the same as well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. And remember, be encouraged, be inspired, be motivated. Boston's in the house tonight. God bless you.
Bye.